Boris Johnson today hit back at Tories and scientists suggesting lockdown could ease faster, as Wales and Scotland warned his roadmap might be too quick. The PM said he was being sensible and prudent with his four-stage plan after attacks on the approach from both sides. Some people will say we're going to be going too fast, some people will say we're going too slow, he said on a visit to a school in South London.
Mr. Johnson refused to guarantee that all restrictions will definitely be lifted by June 21 as scheduled, but insisted he was hopeful it can happen.
The intervention came after Matt Hancock slopped down Professor Neil Ferguson for suggesting the government's blueprint for England could be speeded up if things go well.
Tories and business have been voicing disquiet about the ultra-cautious approach being taken by ministers, even though the vaccination drive has been surging ahead.
Schools will return on March 8, but there will be almost no further loosening of the draconian curbs before Easter. There will be a 5-week gap between each of the four main stages of the plan, with scientists having won the argument in government that time is needed to assess the impact.
The PM has been boosted by Snap polls showing the public largely backs his stance, with 46% telling YouGov it is about right, and around a fifth suggesting it is too fast. Nicola Sturgeon unveiled her own far more cautious exit strategy this afternoon, with non-essential retail not set to start opening until the last week in April. Welsh government experts have also warned that Mr. Johnson's timeline is risky, and the outbreak could spiral out of control again. Professor Ferguson, whose grim modelling triggered the initial lockdown last year, sounded a bright note on Times Radio last night. Hopefully what we'll see when each step happens is a very limited resurgence of infections. In which case, there's a chance we can accelerate the schedule, he said.
However, Mr. Hancock dismissed the idea of speeding the schedule up in a round of interviews this morning. No. We need to see the effects of each step, and that takes 5 weeks, he said.
In other developments today. Step 1 Part 1, March 8. From March 8, all pupils and students will return to schools and colleges across England.
So-called wraparound childcare will also be allowed to resume, paving the way for after and before school clubs to reopen.
People will be allowed to meet one other person outside for recreation, for example, to have a picnic or to meet for coffee. Care home residents will be able to have one regular named visitor.
The government's stay-at-home order will remain in place, with travel for non-essential purposes still banned.
Step 1 Part 2, March 29.